This is what you do, is
Right.
prepare for what we're seeing right now in our country, is that everything is changing on a daily, and we're not sure where that's going to take us. The outcome is income. We're glad you're with us. We're talking about trying to prepare for the new reality in retirement. And chances we talk about, and we don't have a whole lot of time, but I want to wrap up what you talk about in being prepared with a holistic plan for the what ifs. And everybody says, hey, you can't prepare for, this is what you do, is
Right.
prepare for what we're seeing right now in our country, is that everything is changing on a daily, and we're not sure where that's going to take us. How does putting together a plan with you in your office over all of these things make me take a sigh of relief about what's going on around me?
So when we start this off, my staple advice is always to say, okay, let's look at your situation, and I'm going to build a fiscal house out of this situation. And everybody knows the most important part of that house is the foundation.
Gotta have
My
it.
standard advice is typically take your age. If I'm 65 years old, 65% of my net worth should be in that foundation. And that foundation has to be enough to maintain my lifestyle. Now, the other 35% is going to be between the walls and the roof. And I typically be about 25% in the walls and 10% in the roof. And when I'm allocated like this, as we meet periodically throughout the year, we will recalibrate exactly where these aspects lie, because there's going to be situations where, maybe my roof that's geared, and my point for the roof is to always say the roof money is to outpace inflation. So I want as high as growth as possible.
Growth.
Right. So maybe I have 10% of my net worth that's purely focused on that.
But a lot of my risk is in the roof.
Correct. And that's
Which
why
is
we're
you
not
want more in the
relying.
foundation.
Correct.
Okay.
So we're not relying on that.
If you put all of this together, and you consistently say this, that I guess the analogy is my house isn't going to look like anybody else's house.
Correct.
And in going through that, coming in, if I have to take the time on doing that, is there peace of mind in understanding how these 5 pieces fit together, that I feel like it's going to last through all of this uncertainty?
Absolutely. The way that the 5 pieces come together, we build the house. Then when you're talking about the estate planning and the insurance, we protect the house. We put the picket fence around there, and we dig a moat around it and everything else that we need. How do I make sure this house is protected? Like, we want our own version of an iron dome around this situation. So I need to think about all of the what ifs. What if there's market volatility? What if inflation spikes up again? What if there's a disability? What if there's a lawsuit? What if, God forbid, a spouse passes away? Like, what do I do in all of these different situations? And we go ahead and plan for it up front. So when these things are, the turbulence comes, because one thing is for certain, life will continue to happen.
We're going to have storms.
Correct. So when those things happen, we're not in a panic and making, unsound decisions. It's like, nope, we just tweak the plan. We already planned for these things. We just adjust and we continue to flow.
How often are we talking? Because a lot of these folks say, well, I've been with an advisor. I haven't talked to him in a couple of years.
That's the biggest problem that I see typically when I run into clients that have an existing advisor. That's always one of the big pain points, is saying, well, yeah, I only hear from them once a year, if that, So I sit down with my clients. We have client events that we're talking at least quarterly. And then I make sure we're at least sitting down, semi-annually for a one-on-one to strategy to make adjustments to whatever's going on. And then obviously, if there's things that come up in between, I'm available. My team's available. But I make it a point to have those touches.
You need an expert to help you get the insider review. You got to do something. All it is make a call. The review is complimentary. 855-348-3018 to come in to get a holistic plan to build your fiscal house that will last through all of these storms. We know your time's valuable, so we appreciate you taking time to spend with us. Now we can't wait to see you in the office. Make the call. We'll see you soon, and we'll see you right back here next time on The Outcome is Income.